Well, I'm a pop star, let's get together. Ice your neck up, change the weather.
What's up guys, it's NRT Phantom, and welcome back to another awesome video. Today I'm going to be doing a story time, actually the first one for this channel. Oh, excuse me, I just had to burp. But this story time takes place in 8th grade. And actually not that far away, only about a year away from where I am now in 9th grade. But yeah, like I was saying, in 8th grade I was kind of I don't really like to say stoner, but I like to say I was keen on trying different things. I used to vape a lot. I never really used to smoke a lot of weed, but I had my times when I used to smoke weed. That's pretty much it. But what really happened was that I walked into school, and sorry, this is my first story time video, so let me actually take a track back and say this is about my first time tripping on weed ever. Like, I had been vaping before this, but I'd never tried weed, and this is about the first time, so it's pretty funny. And also kind of scary, but pretty funny. It was scary from my point of view because the trip, I think, was pretty bad. So, let's go. So I walk into school, and I just remember one of my friends, we'll call him James. He walks up to me, and he just goes, Dude, bro, guess what? Guess what I got my hands on? I'm like, what? And he just goes, a wax pen. I'm like, whoa, really? And he's like, yeah, I got a wax pen for $20 and a couple, man, I just went off, a couple capsules. And I was like, whoa, wait, no way, show me. So he takes me into the bathroom, no homo, and he shows me the wax pen. Now, this is like, I've up to this point, I've never really known the exact look of a wax pen, but this one I could see was bought from a medical marijuana place called Curaleaf. There are a couple right by my house, and it was like a Curaleaf pen. So this guy puts the capsule in it. He takes a couple hits. He starts getting high. I remember after like his 7th hit, this is like 20 minutes before class. After about 10 or 15 minutes, you can see that he's starting to trip out, and he actually told me that. He was like, yo, dude, I actually kind of feel something, and I'm like, okay. And he was just like, do you want it? And I went, to keep? And he went, no, to borrow for this class period, because I'm probably going to get caught and I'm going to have to take a drug test. But if I'm not, then you could have gotten high in your class period too. And I was like, wait, what are you talking about? And I was like, I don't really want to take it. So he goes, dude, just take it, because if I am caught, then I don't want them finding this, and no one knows that I hang out with you. And that was true. No one really knew, because the way that my school was laid out, I was kind of in the upper rich kid smart person program called Gifted. And in the downstairs buildings were as what people called them, the lower programs, they were called STEAM. That's kind of where the general education was. And honestly, a lot of the kids in Gifted hated the STEAM kids, but I didn't have a problem with them. I thought they were just as nice. I'm not like that kind of person who's like, oh, you're not the same as me? Oh, you're weird. I like to hang out with everyone. As long as they're nice to me, I'm nice to them. And a lot of the kids in STEAM liked me because of that, because I wasn't a douchebag. So moving on, he gives me the wax pen, and I'm kind of a little bit, what's the word? Not keen on taking this. So, I mean, never do this, but I still ended up taking it. Even though I wasn't really sure about taking it and I didn't really want to, I just took it. So, at first, I was going to go tell my friends. We'll call them to Alexandra and George, simply because I know that George, the real kid, that's not his name, but I know that he's going to be watching this video, and he's probably going to hit me up on Snap and start like roasting me for calling him this generic name. But so I wasn't supposed to tell them, and I didn't actually. I actually ended up telling both Alexandra and George what happened later on. So I walk into band, and I didn't have my instrument with me. And the teacher kind of got mad. He was like, if you don't have your instrument, then you can leave. So I was like, I'm just going to go chill in the locker room. And he was like, oh, that's fine. I also had my vape with me. I remember it was a Lush Ice Puff Bar. I never really was able to get my hands on like a Juul or a Novo or any of the other compact, non-disposable vapes, simply because the kids in the school didn't really sell them like that. I think only one girl was the one who sold non-disposables, and she sold them for so much money, and it was just a rip-off. So I just wanted to pay my $10 and get it over with. So I was just sitting in the locker room. There was this empty locker that was probably for holding really big instruments, and I climbed in there and I just kind of laid down. I took a couple hits of my vape, and I started getting a buzz, so I just kind of laid down. Love not feeling my legs. Love that little sparkly feeling that you get when you get on like a really nice buzz, that kind of stuff. So then I take out the wax pen. And now in my school, there were two broken smoke detectors, one in the band locker room and one in this area that I found for a really good skipping spot and smoking spot. That'll be my part two, or not part two, my other story time, because I'm planning on doing one about that. So stay tuned for that. But so I knew that the smoke detector was broken. I knew that I wouldn't get caught. Well, I didn't know that I wouldn't get caught, but I knew that, it wouldn't go off and then everyone would have to leave the school. I knew that wouldn't happen. So, and the fire department wouldn't be called. But so I hold the wax pen up to my mouth and I think for a second. I'm like, what if something goes wrong? Like, I didn't really know that much about weed, so I didn't really know, like, can I OD on this? And then inside I was like, bro, you can't OD on weed, you just smoke it, right? And I'm like, yeah. So George and Alexandra, by the way, are inside the band room. So I take um maybe 4 hits, I'd like to say. One of them was a little bitch hit where I kind of like sucked in like a tad bit, breathed into my lungs to get a feel. And then the third one was kind of like, okay, I'm getting used to it, where like I breathed it straight lung hit for about 2 seconds, and then I breathed it out. And then the last 2 hits were huge. Like, I blew out clouds. So I'm just sitting there. I lay down, I'm like, oh, when's the high gonna kick in? And if you guys don't know this already, which you probably don't, because then again, this is my first storytime video, I'm a lightweight. I always have been. I'm kind of a skinny kid. Even though I work out, I don't have a lot of fat on me, so I only weigh like 125 pounds. So I got high, I think, after 20 minutes. Now, the class period for band luckily was the longest, but it wasn't long enough. So what happened was that I started getting a high around 20 minutes in. I don't know if that's normal, but I'd say around 20 minutes in. I don't want you guys to be in like the comments section and be like, oh, you should be getting high in like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I didn't really know. I wasn't really keeping track at the time. I vaguely remember that it may have been 20 minutes. So I start getting high and I'm just like, whoa, this is pretty good. And that was the first thought that I had. In the middle, after about 40 minutes near where the class period was ending, I actually was falling asleep because I was like kind of in my own world. I was like swirling around. I felt super calm, super lax. And I've heard of kids, like, I hang out with a couple of friends. This one kid, I'll just call him Surfer Dude Guy because he's got like a Surfer Dude haircut. When he gets high, he gets crazy. Like, he runs around, he acts like a 2-year-old. It's really funny. But that's just not me. I just kind of calmed down. And I don't really remember what happened between the time that the bell rang, but I asked George and Alexandra about this later on, and pretty much what they did was they thought it would be a fucking funny ass joke to take 3 tuba cases and pile them on top of me. And that's exactly what they did. They just took the tuba cases, they piled them on top of me, and when I came to, the bell just rang. The bell woke me up. And when I came to, I was like, wait, what the fuck? And I had to get them off me, first of all, being completely quiet. I ran to my next class, which my next class was ELA, so English learning, whatever it stands for. So I go into that class, and normally the story would end, there, but my trip was still happening, and 2 teachers actually saw me. So Mr. Milo, chill guy. He was an amazing teacher. He was just so chill, even though I used to like slack off and be a complete and utter retard and not ever really do anything in his class. I remember one time he pulled me out and he just went, listen, get your head out of your ass and get your head in work. And I was like, oh, okay. And then from that day forward, I was just like, oh, okay, I'll do it then. So I never really did that good in his class. I feel bad because he was always kind of disappointed in me because he knew that like I could have done so much more. And don't be like me in like 8th grade or middle school. I was a dumbass. All I really cared about was hanging out with friends, getting the latest vape, and just getting, well, up until the first time I smoked was pretty much just getting high, which is what I mostly cared about. So I just remember I tried to keep my head down the whole time, and this girl next to me, she just looked at me and she just goes, "Are you okay?" And I look up at her, and I didn't know that like when you take a wax pen, apparently your eyes can get red. I mean, that's actually kind of a dumb statement now that I say that to me. Now that I say that to myself, I can't talk today. So I take it as like a yeah, I'm fine. I try to act all cool, and she's like, "Do you have allergies or something? Because your eyes are really red." And I just looked at her, and she went, "Oh, okay." And then she just goes back to her work. So Mr. Milo, this teacher, I almost I almost think that he actually saw. Like I'm 98% sure that he knew that I was high in his class period. And he just when I was leaving class, right after I went, "Bye, Mr. Milo, have a nice day," he looked me in the eyes and he went, "Bye, bye, have a nice day." And then he just kind of looked at me, and I just went to walk out, and he goes, "Constantine." I'm like, "Yeah?" And he just looks at me and he just points up. He does this like motion where like he, you know, the motion like I got my eyes on you, except he just points at his eyes and then he just shakes his head. And I'm just like, "Oh shit." So I walk out of that class real quick, and I expect, dude, he's gonna like, I expected that he was gonna like send an email to my mom. He never did. That's why he's like a chill teacher. And honestly, I respected him for that. And I never got high in school again after this experience, because after him was my science teacher, who luckily was also chill. If I had my what do you call it? Uh I don't, I kind of forgot the class. I'm having a brain fart right now. It was like a if I had my world history teacher that saw me do that, she would flip out. Like she was not a chill person. Um yeah, she'll actually be in another story time where I almost got caught vaping. Stay tuned for that and a different story time also along the lines of that. I almost got caught vaping so many times, and it was pretty much because of me and my friends just being retarded. But so I go to third period, I go into class, the class is going on as usual. By this time, George knows that I'm high. He like can see it, but I remember at the time he didn't believe it. He just thought it was the power of suggestion because he didn't think that I took a hit of that I took like 4 hits of a wax pen. So I'm sitting there. The people at my table know that I'm high, first of all. And the one girl that's sitting next to me got like really mad because she was my friend. She's like, Constantine, you know you shouldn't be doing this in class. Why are you doing this? You're gonna get caught, and it's really bad for you." And I'm like, listen, calm down. So it's like the only time. It's like the only time. So I go to leave at the end of the period, and the science teacher goes, "Constantine, can you come up here real quick?" So I go up there and I go, "Hey, what's up?" And she just goes, "Your eyes are really red." And I'm just like, "Yeah, I have allergies." And she's like, "Really?" And I was so dumb when I said that because in they all get access to a health form. And in my health form, I wrote that I have no allergies to anything food-wise or seasonal allergies and stuff like that. She was like, "Really? Well, that's not what your your health form said." And I was like, "Oh, well, I guess it was wrong." And she was like, "Yeah, I guess it was." And then she goes, "Constantine, I have your mom on speed dial on my phone," because I wasn't really a good kid. I graduated my 3 years of middle school with like over 30 or 40 referrals, and I was always late to class. I was absent tons of times. I got shitty grades. But she goes, "I have your mom on speed dial." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm not in trouble." And she was like, "No, you're not, but I know you." And I was like, "What do you mean? What are you implying?" And she was like, "Listen, Constantine, I'm not dumb, all right? I know what the signs are when someone smokes weed." And I'm just like, "Okay, fine, you caught me." And she was like, "Listen." She got really close. She was like, "You're a good kid." And I knew your sister. My sister also went to that school. She's like, "Just don't do that. And if you are, then don't do it in school, because that's disrespectful to me and everyone in school, because you're not even learning. You're just, what, are you just coming here to get high?" And I was like, "No, I come here to learn, and I'm retarded, so yes, I do get high sometimes." And well, that was the first time. So this is, I'm also saying this with knowledge that I got high later on. And she was like, "All right then, I'm gonna let you off with a warning. Just don't let it happen again in my class." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I left. And from that day forward, I got off the hook, first of all, because the high kind of ended after in like fourth period, which is actually when I had my world history teacher. She's really like, as I said, I'll tell a story with her, and she's really kind of jumpy and stuff like that. and she would have like given me a referral, emailed my parents and all that shit. But after that, what my science teacher did, we were the chillest student to teacher kind of relationship ever. Like if she saw me after class, she'd say hi, and I just remember I told her this story that I'm also gonna do a story time about, and it was about it, I'm just gonna say it now, for kind of like, oh, it's coming soon. Pretty much, we got chased by a drug addict, and we knew that we knew that he was high because of the smell and other stuff. Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna spoil it. And that's the only spoilers y'all are getting. And she just looks at me and she's like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "I bet you joined them." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "I know you, Constantine. I know you like that stuff. I bet you joined him." And at first, I didn't really feel insulted because she started laughing. And then she was like, "Oh, have a good day." And then she left. And honestly, not a good trip. Don't do what I did, but I just found that funny. It was just really cool how my teachers were chill, and they weren't gonna like go cry to my parents, which I actually appreciate. Thank you for not telling my parents, because if you did, my mom probably would have flipped out. And I mean, I don't smoke, I don't vape anymore. Well, I can't say anything about the second part, but I don't smoke anymore. So they kind of had a good effect on me. And it's better to be just cool with your students or with your friends and not get all like worked up and get up in their face about it. And just let them do their own thing. But if it's harming them, then I guess I guess the moral of this story is just look out for your friends, be chill, and don't like get all worked up when someone's doing something that they're not supposed to do. Just talk to them, be lax. All right, guys, this is where I'm going to end this story time. It was I think this was a really good first story time, but we're actually getting close to 20 minutes now. Jesus Christ. So I'm going to end this story time here. If you guys want, you can subscribe and leave a like. I'll be posting more storytime content and gaming content, like funny moments, and I might start doing Among Us videos because that's kind of what's getting popular. And I mean, it's a really fun game, so I'll do it with a couple of my friends. Stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next video.